E-Surge, which is a new proposed development at 25th and Wabash. The Washington Park, University of Chicago project, which is located on Garfield between King and Prairie. And we have an update and a report from our commander of the 1st District, Commander Albanen, regarding motorcycles and how they have impacted our community over the last 2 years. So first up is E-Surge, and I would like to introduce to all Graham Grady, who is the attorney of record for this development. Graham?
Good evening. Alderman Dowell, thank you very much for that introduction. We appreciate the opportunity to present to the community this evening. And also thank you to your staff for arranging this virtual meeting. So we want to welcome everyone to this presentation. My name again is Graham Grady. I'm a partner at the Taft Law Firm. I'm the zoning and land use attorney for Smash Interactive and the Surge facility. The presentation this evening is for a proposed new esports facility at 2500 South Wabash. Later in the presentation, I will describe the zoning applications for the project. It's my pleasure now to introduce our 3-member presentation team who will tell you all about the project. First, you'll hear from Scott Greenberg, co-founder of Smash Interactive. Next, you'll hear from Chris Lai, co-founder of Smash Interactive. Following that, you will hear from Jackie Koo, the project architect. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Scott Greenberg. Scott?
Thank you, Alderman, for hosting this, and hello to everybody. I'm Scott Greenberg, a co-founder of Smash Interactive. I've had 30 years of experience envisioning and building revolutionary lifestyle developments encompassing hospitality, restaurant, and entertainment properties, many of which are here in the Chicagoland area, including the Witt Hotel. I continue to own and operate all of my developments, so I just don't build and walk away. I continue to own and operate my properties and remain active in the communities in which they're located. Could you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Smash Interactive is making a $30 million investment into Surge, all private capital. We are receiving no city or state financial incentives, nor have we requested any. We anticipate creating 126 full-time jobs. Some will be full-time engineers, computer animators, broadcast production professionals. Others will be service-oriented to support our food, beverage, and our event operations. To benefit residents that live in Bronzeville and the South Side, we have established many relationships within the community to promote community participation and employment, as well as various community partnerships. As it relates to certain subcontractors, they will be hired specifically from the African American community. Over the next 20 years, Surge is forecast to produce nearly $28 million of new direct municipal taxes, and it will have a direct economic impact in the Chicagoland area of estimated $420 million and $900 million of estimated economic impact over the next 20 years, indirect. Next slide, please. My track record as a successful lifestyle, hospitality, and entertainment development has proved that I've had the insight and ability to not only develop, own, and operate successful groundbreaking projects, but my developments are catalytic in transforming areas around my developments. I expect this will happen in Bronzeville too. As property around our project is transformed, you see the Smash Interactive location right next to the highway. Since the I-55 highway was originally constructed in 1960, it created a pedestrian barrier between the McCormick Place and Bronzeville. While substantial developments were built north of I-55 over the past 40 years, there's been significant disinvestment south of I-55. As you can see from this slide, the existence of Surge will create a reason for pedestrians to walk from the McCormick Place district across State Street Bridge and pull people into this area, bringing new retail customers to visit yet unbuilt and unimagined retail outlets and eateries that will spring up in the area. Surge will also attract students from IIT and their intellectual capacity, bringing in many more customers and potential residents. As a result, Surge will anchor and jumpstart additional residential and multi-use developments south of I-55. In addition, with the tech culture that Surge will bring, I expect other underutilized property along South Wabash will blossom into a new tech hub for the South Side. Surge will create 7-day-a-week guest visitation, making the area friendly and safe for neighborhood pedestrians. Our bright and energetic building design will signal a new beginning and a new energy entering into the area and the revitalization of this historic part of Chicago. Next slide, please. On a weekly basis, we expect to attract residents that live in the local community for family-friendly entertainment. Although this is a new type of entertainment, and my co-founder and Chris Lai will explain more shortly, we know that it will be attractive to families, groups of friends, and small and large for people that have no experience with esports. Even if guests have never played computer games or heard of esports, after about 10 minutes of on-site training, they can experience this new form of entertainment known as free roam virtual reality. Our proprietary breakthrough technology, which is completely engineered in-house, allows our guests of all ages to enjoy the benefits of virtual reality like never before. Go to the next slide, please. Thank you. In traditional esports computer games, team members use keyboards, mouse, or computer controllers to control a computer game. In the world of free roam virtual reality, your entire body, hands, legs, and head control the computer, which is why anybody can instantly participate with no experience. We have created our own free roam computer games that mirror traditional esports games. In addition, we are now creating novel free roam entertainment experiences that are cinematic action adventures where our patrons can interact side by side with full-scale virtual reality characters and take part in full-body physical activities. This cinematic experience is very different from traditional movies where people watch a film projected on a flat surface and it's passive. In our cinematic experience, guests are actually moving around inside the movie and interacting with our virtual reality characters. When our guests are not directly participating in this unique entertainment, they can enjoy a full dining, social, non-tech gathered experience that is ultimately completes the purpose of bringing people together. With that, let me turn it over to my co-founder, Chris.
Thank you, Scott.
Chris,
I just want to take a moment to briefly explain.
excuse me, before you start, I just want to ask all of the participants if they have questions to please put them in the chat box as we're going through the presentation. I'm sorry for the interruption. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. I just want to take a moment to briefly explain two of the most transformative shifts in digital media. On the esports front, we see the popularity skyrocketing and the viewership surpassing most of the major league sports in the US. With this type of explosive growth, there's a demand for a physical esports arena and additional content creation. So some of you are thinking, I've heard of esports, but I'm not sure what it is. Don't worry, I'll explain that in a moment. The other game changer is virtual reality. For decades, we have dreamt of the day where the holodeck actually existed, where you're able to transport yourself into other worlds and experience it as if your mind and body were actually there. The ability to interact with people in VR at a large scale will immensely impact the way we educate, train, and entertain ourselves. This is why Scott and I have embarked on this project to build a hub for the future of entertainment. Next slide, please. You go next slide. Thank you. So what is esports? Esports is the competitive organized video gaming, okay? It's not limited to just specific popular games like Fortnite, League of Legends, Call of Duty, CSGO, or NBA 2K. It's ever evolving and it changes based on the popularity. But what's constant is that it's played on a computer and its tournaments are held either virtually or in various physical locations. And it is streamed online via services like Twitch, YouTube, to millions of people. Unlike traditional sports, which need a specific purpose-built arena for each sport, like basketball, you need the United Center, or football, you have Soldier Field. I think the slide isn't quite correct. So
There we go. Thank you.
thank you. So unlike those traditional sports that you need specific arenas, can you go back to the previous slide, please? Thank you. Unlike those ones, for esports, they're all hosted in one location. All that is required is a purpose-built stage, like the one you see in this image, and broadcast capabilities. Surge might only host a few hundred people in the audience, but millions of people are potentially watching this online. Next slide. So for the last 5 years, we have developed our own proprietary virtual reality system. Surge will be the largest purpose-built VR arena built to date. Users will be able to roam freely and interact with other players. As Scott mentioned previously, in our system, you use your body. Everything feels natural and intuitive, and you're using not a controller to move around. We see the arena being used during the day for educational purposes, like field trips for kids, training first responders, and then in the evening and weekends, the arenas will be used for entertainment. Next slide, please. Lastly, I wanted to point out that esports is just not for professional athletes. There's a huge opportunity for our kids. Last year, $15 million in esports scholarships were awarded by 140 colleges. In Illinois, there are 60 plus high schools that have esports programs. But when we look at this map, the blue triangles are high schools that have an esports program, and the red triangles are ones without. And you can see there's not much awareness on the south side. So it's our hope that having Surge located in Bronzeville, that we're able to change all the red triangles to blue. And with that, I'd like to hand over the presentation to Jackie Koo, who will walk us through this amazing building.
Thank you, Chris. Can everyone hear me? Good evening, everyone. I'm Jackie Koo, the architect for the building. Thank you for being here, and thank you, Alderman, for hosting. Now I'm going to walk you through the project plan and features. Next slide. The main building is at 2500 North Wabash, which you can see on the right-hand side of the page between 25th and 26th Street, with accessory parking and retail south of 26th Street, as well as overflow parking underneath the L tracks. I will talk more about that later. First, I will talk, next slide. First, I will talk about the main development parcel at 2500 South Wabash. This is comprised of the existing two-story industrial building, which was formerly the Cozy Bike Shop, and the vacant truck yard. This development will be a sustainable development and will have a green roof, and photovoltaics will be LEED silver, and will have an upgraded landscape along the public parkway as well as new bike racks. Next slide. Here you can see the warehouse building, the existing warehouse Cozy Cycle Shop on the left, and the lot most recently used for truck storage. Next. The project starts by taking the existing building at 2500 and adding the new Surge Studio and VR arenas to the north in the old vacant truck yard. We will be renovating the Cozy Cycle Shop, reinstalling windows where they have been bricked in and boarded up, and adding a very dynamic structure and facade that reflects the one-of-a-kind use for the building. While the use for the building requires a completely windowless space, we have decided a three-dimensional screening element that creates a building that is the opposite of a blank wall in order to engage the pedestrian and create an energetic identity for the building. Next. As you can see here in this Wabash elevation, we have referenced the roof line from the old industrial building as a datum to relate to it as well. Our intention is to also endeavor to keep the old water tower structure if it is feasible. The tallest point of the new structure is a little bit under 70 feet. Next. Somehow it's not coming up. Oops. This is a view from 25th Street and Wabash and shows one of the two video displays facing the highway. These were oriented so that they are not visible from the nearby residential buildings, the Bronzeville Lofts and 2550 South Wabash. Next. In these streetscape vignettes, you can see that we have added planters along Wabash and a base that adds greenery and pedestrian-oriented interest. Next. This is the ground floor plan. The main entrance is through the old industrial building. You walk through the restaurant and event spaces through the old freight elevator, which acts as a conceptual portal to the new experience. Turning north in the building, you enter the Esports Studio and beyond to the VR arena. Next. The Esports Studio is the area that has the stage and the wraparound LED walls and interactive sound and lighting system that Scott spoke about earlier. Next. Going up to the second floor, the lounge and restaurant spaces overlook the studio floor and VR arenas where you can eat, drink, and enjoy the entertainment as a spectator. Additionally, the second floor of the old industrial building will be renovated with the new offices for Smash Interactive headquarters. Some of the unique features of the second floor include stadium seats, a broadcast booth, and more LED displays above the VR arenas so that you can watch what your friends and family are experiencing in the game. Next. Here is a section through the Esports Studio showing how the views are from the lounge. Next. Now we will move on to the parking and retail at 2617, which is that area on the bottom of the left-hand side of this plan. The 2617 building includes parking for 90 interior and exterior spaces. It is currently a cab storage and maintenance facility, and the building and lot will be completely renovated with a new parking entry off of Wabash Avenue. Lastly, the renovated building will have 1,700 square feet of retail facing Wabash to create a new activated facade, as well as an artistic mural to add character and interest to the parking lot. Scott?
So this is an example of some of the educational and community outreach that we've already made today, and whether it's IIT programming with them, we talked to Ryan Banks Academy as well, Robert Morris College, Columbia College, Illinois High School Association, DePaul, UIC, as well as nearby we've connected with the Chicago Workforce Partnership to help track people from the local communities. Project Sincere is involved in education, particularly with students coming from the south and west side and the underserved areas. We've spoken to people from Bronzeville Loft. I saw a question come up from the Bronzeville Loft folks that we spoke to a couple times. They wanted to know if much has changed from the presentation they had saw before. Really not much. We've also talked to the developer of the building at 2550 South Wabash. and they seemed excited about our project. We've also connected with the people at Quinn Chapel as well as Trinity Episcopal Church, just to give you a sense of our engagement so far. But we're here to answer questions as the Alderman allows us. Graham?
Thank you, Scott. The area that you see at the top, the trapezoid there on the west side of Wabash, the property is currently zoned M1-3 and C1-5. This area will be rezoned to a commercial zoning district C2-3 and then to a planned development. The other area that you see in the red rectangle at the southeast corner of 26 and Wabash is currently zoned M1-3. That site will be rezoned to a B1-2 in order to accommodate the retail and parking. Neither of these sites is currently zoned residential, and so there will be no loss in terms of opportunity for affordable housing. So the main site at 2500 South Wabash will be rezoned to C2-3 and then to a planned development. And the parking lot and building at 26th and Wabash will be rezoned to a business zoning district to accommodate the parking and the retail. We will also file an application for the parking building and lot to establish a special use for off-site parking. We're happy to answer questions, and we thank you very much.
I did see a couple questions, one regarding.
I have it, Mr. Greenberg, I have it. So there was 2 questions in the chat. Please put your questions in the Q&A box. Graham, you answered one of the questions in the chat. The other question was about affordability. Will this be affordable to the average Joe? That's how it was written.
The answer is yes. I mean, this is not that expensive. Entertainment is not the kind of thing that you can price high and expect people to come and enjoy. So, and the gaming community is used to paying very little or nothing to go online and play games. So yes, we think it's very affordable. The food is going to be affordable. So absolutely.
All right, so first question, what if any local gaming communities have you engaged with for this project? Sugar Gamers, an organization with a focus on diversity in gaming, comes to mind.
Well, in fact, I have talked to the person that gets involved in Sugar Gamers. But of course, as I mentioned, we've reached out to the Illinois High School, all the Illinois High School Association of Gamers, to the DePaul University, IIT, DePaul, University of Illinois in Chicago. So we've connected with all of the primary educational and students, and we will also plan to develop a Bronzeville, specifically a Bronzeville sports league in cooperation with IIT. We've worked there with April Welsh. So an extensive amount of work has been reaching out to a wide range of people engaged in esports.
All right, I have a question from Christopher. He says, Bronzeville loft owners, Surge's facing neighbor, and residents gave feedback at the first Surge meeting concerning facade height, sign brightness, and street congestion on East 26th Street. What changes were actually implemented? And this relates to another question on the height of the facade.
I can take that one. Although I wasn't at that meeting, Scott and Chris did relay to me some of the concerns. And the height of the building, just to start off, is the top of the screen itself is a little bit less than 70 feet at 69 feet 6 inches. And the way that we have addressed the concerns of the Bronzeville lofts is that we have done numerous studies to make sure that the video displays are not visible from the Bronzeville lofts. We have also ensured that the lighting is dimmable, and the lighting in the parking lot is dark sky lighting that will not interfere with the people in the Bronzeville Lofts building for the new parking facility where the cab stand is as well.
I would like to chime in real quick about the meeting. It was extremely helpful to have that meeting with the folks over at the Bronzeville Loft, and through their feedback, we eliminated the lights that we had planned initially on the water tower. We had a sign that was that surge sign was across the top of the roof. That got removed, and so there's been significant input that we took from them and made changes to these plans to address all the lighting, light pollution that could be emitted from the building.
There's one more thing that we addressed, is that we relocated the access to the parking lot off of 26th Street, which is right in front of the lofts, and so the only access to the parking is from Wabash, so the people at the Bronzeville Loft won't see cars going in and out across the street from them.
Next question is, what are the hours of operation?
I'd be happy to take that question. This, as I mentioned, is for business and for recreational purpose. So during business hours, there'll be, from 9 o'clock till 5 o'clock, there's between probably 30 people working there, and maybe you'll have another 30 guests, again, 9 to 5 or 9 to 3 in the morning. And then that's really when it's open for business. When will be open for the entertainment uses, will probably start happening mostly on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You can think of it a little bit like a movie theater. So at that time, you're probably opening up around 3 o'clock and open till 10 o'clock. And the occupancy in those times could range anywhere from 50 people to maybe as much as 300, 350 people will be there. Now, I also would comment that that there will be some dates on the calendar, maybe 10 to 15 dates when we could have as many as 700-800 people there. But because of the parking we have and other valet, well, those minimal number of times we will smoothly handle the traffic coming in and out of there. So it's just touch and go. And our parking person and traffic person might address that further if you would like to discuss that.
Yes, why don't you speak a little more about that in terms of what type of events would necessitate having 700 people there?
Yeah, so there are going to be some championship esports events, which we will broadcast, and some maybe most of our esports events that will be there, even with 100 to 400 people, they'll be watched locally and they'll be streamed out. So you could have hundreds or thousands of people watching that. But we do expect, with our partnerships with the main publishers, that we could do national and international events where those would be ticketed situations where you're going to have people coming in and they're watching events with professionals or semi-professionals that, again, could be seen around the world. While you could have hundreds of people watching at this location, there could be millions watching it around the world.
All right, well, we have 2 positive comments, one from Project Sincere. This is an awesome addition to the community. Nothing like this exists currently. This would help more young people get into esports, not just as consumers, but also to learn how the technology works. Another one from April Welch from Illinois Tech, who's excited about the opportunity to train people in the community on this game development. Robin Pettit wants to know if you have a website to look at this project.
Well, we have kept, there is probably a web page, but there's not much on it yet. We've intentionally been waiting to make, this is the first time anybody publicly has seen these drawings in this presentation. So no, the answer is no, this information is not online, but I've been told that this presentation is going to appear on the Alderman's Facebook page.
All right. I encourage you to get a website as you move a little further down the road on this. Are there any plans for any security presence?
There is substantial, the security, there is substantial security coming into the development. Everybody that arrives has to be registered or ticketed to get in, so we know everybody that goes in and out of the development. Depending upon the event and what's taking place, we will either add or reduce security depending upon what's happening. If it's a daily event, probably not much, but if it's any kind of significant number of people, we will absolutely have security.
Okay, when will construction begin? And will the retail space on 26th and Wabash be open to businesses that are not associated with Esports Arena?
So the space that's on will be open and available to other businesses other than us. So the answer is yes to that question. And what was your first question again?
The question was, will the stores on 26th Street, when will construction begin, and will the retail space on 26th and Wabash be open to businesses not associated with the arena?
We very much hope to get construction underway this summer. Our architect is working away at plans. We're anxious to submit our plans to DPD, and then shortly thereafter we'll be, we're already in the throes of preparing construction drawings.
Okay, there's a suggestion.
Alderman, yes, to answer your second part, Alderman, is that the retail part, it will be detached from the esports. So, there'll be, it'll be available for businesses to open up, whether it be a tech firm to, fix your iPhone or iPad, a one-stop shop, or a coffee shop around there. It is space that's made available for anybody to rent.
Okay, another person is wanted to request that you develop partnerships with community colleges and nonprofit organizations that work with children in the ward, such as Ada S. McKinley, the Charles Hayes Center, Bright Star Organization. Have you considered building partnerships with them to provide job and educational opportunities?
Absolutely, that's a fundamental foundational principle of what we're doing, is to build partnerships in the community. As I mentioned, there's already some high schools, IIT, which is a good way that we can bring people from the community into a partnership with IIT on high school and junior high school esports, and then into our venue. So the answer is yes, yes, yes. And that's what we think this is going to go a long way towards, not only being a springboard for development, but also youth interest in technology and this form of entertainment.
All right, Christopher Proven, I don't know where he's from, but Christopher, on your question about the increased height from the initial renderings, that looks like more of a discussion, and I would ask you to contact my office tomorrow or email me at ward03@cityofchicago.org so I can look into this matter in greater detail.
Yeah, Alderman, we do have a view from the building from Bronzeville Lost that demonstrates this building our building doesn't block the city views at all. So we actually have addressed this issue, and maybe this person didn't see it, but we do have an image from the Bronzeville Loft building that shows that it does not interrupt the city views.
Do you have that here? Is that one of your slides?
We actually do.
Yes, I can pull it up.
Can we pull that up? And while you're pulling it up, there's a question on what kind of food are you serving? Is there an age limit for gamers? And do you plan to serve alcoholic beverages?
So is there an age limit? Well, for the free roam esports, there is an age limit. I mean, young children probably can't do it. I think it's 10 or 11 years old, Chris.
Yeah, it's around 10 years old. It really is the height requirement and maturity requirement. And typically, the parents come and play with the child, so it will be up to the parent to decide if the content is something that's appropriate for them or not. But we do have children that do play at 10.
Yes.
Okay, food and alcoholic beverages, and then I need to wrap this up.
So the answer is yes. There is alcoholic beverage. There is food. It's the food is we consider to be great food that you would get at a place like. I mean, I'm trying to think of a similar places like Topgolf or other entertainment venues like Dave and Buster's. It's that variety of food that you're getting here. And so I think it's good. It's a broad menu and it's priced affordably.
Okay, Todd Carr. All right, Scott Golis. He says food is good as a spoken bird. All right. You mentioned a potential digital reach of millions. Is this a global audience? How can we use this exposure to better serve the community? And then I have one last question do you have a partnership now with IIT and high schools in the area?
The answer.
I was going to say for the broadcast, I mean, that's one of the things that we think is that it has a global reach in that anybody on Twitch or any of the streaming platforms that we've mentioned before will be able to tune in. It is professionally broadcast, and we will be stating where we're broadcasting from. You know, when you talk about, or broadcasting from Atlanta or Chicago in this stadium, and the fact that we'll integrate different things, like we talk about the Bronzeville lock. We've seen this done in the past where they'll have professional and then we'll have collegiate play in that tournament and kind of a joint presentation. So there's a lot of opportunities to build awareness that this exists in Chicago, because it's not something that exists currently in Chicago. Very few arenas around the world even exist. There's only a handful in the US. So saying the fact that it is in Chicago in the Bronzeville district will build awareness that, oh, this is something that actually exists.
All right, and Chris Ford wants to know, do you have partnerships with IIT in high schools now?
The answer is yes. You just saw the question from April. Well, absolutely, IIT, we have developed a partnership on many levels, and she has been instigating partnerships through IIT, building the Bronzeville High School League, which we'll be doing in collaboration with IIT. So the answer is yes.
All right. So in closing, Graham, would you talk about next steps? I just want my constituents to know that I'm somebody that likes to have new stuff in the ward. And things that are cutting edge. I think this is cutting edge, and I look forward to getting more feedback from people here and other people regarding this as we move forward. Our email address is ward03@cityofchicago.org. Graham, could you talk about the next steps?
Yes, Alderman First, thank you very much for hosting this meeting. Andrew, can you please go back to the zoning map side? The zoning map slide. Our next step will be to file the zoning applications. We will be sending a notice of the applications to all the property owners within 250 feet of both of the sites you see on the slide here, both of the red rectangles. So everyone will receive notice of the application. to rezone these two parcels and to establish a planned development for the primary site that's in the upper left there. We anticipate filing the application in time for the December meeting of the Chicago City Council. We anticipate that the project will then go to the Chicago Plan Commission, most likely in February. We then will take the project to the Committee on Zoning and then for adoption by the full City Council, which we anticipate should be all wrapped up by May. We, of course, will continue to be in communication, both directly as well as through the Office of Alderman Dowell. And we thank you very much for your participation, your input, your collaboration. As Scott mentioned, they're going to be a new neighbor in the community, and they want to have excellent communication and good community relations with all the stakeholders, all the surrounding property owners. So we view this tonight as really the beginning of a dialogue and not the end in terms of just a presentation.
Thank you all very much, Mr. and Chris and Scott and Graham. Look forward to continuing a dialogue about that. As I said, if you have concerns, Chris, send me an email. I'll look into this question that you're raising here further. And now I'd like to move on to the next project, which is the University of Chicago's Washington Park Initiative. And with us to present that we'll start with Wendy Walker-Williams, who is a 3rd Ward resident. Hey, Wendy. You're on mute.
Thank you for that. Good evening. I'm Wendy Walker-Williams. I'm the Executive Director of Community Partnerships in the Office of Civic Engagement at the University of Chicago. Thank you so much, Alderman Dahl, for asking us to be here this evening to give this presentation on the arts block. I will be joined by my colleague, Jacqueline Stewart. She is the professor and the Director of Arts and Public Life at the university. So this project is something that is not new to some of you. Several times in recent years, the university has provided the community with updates at 3rd Ward meetings on this development of the arts block, including proposed plans of the arts lawn, which we will be discussing tonight. So we are pleased to be here, so thank you. Next slide. So the property is located on East Garfield Boulevard, or to many of you, good old 55th Street, just west of South Martin Luther King Drive, directly east of the University of Chicago's Green Line Performing Arts Center. The project transforms underutilized vacant land into active green space. The arts lawn will be used for arts and culture-based programming and performances, and is the latest of the University of Chicago's art block, which aims to transform this block into a cultural destination. The university is going to invest almost $1.5 million to restore this green space. Next slide. So this is a picture of the arts lawn before. As I mentioned earlier, the property is currently underutilized, vacant land, and it is owned by the City of Chicago. Next slide, please. This rendering shows the completed first phase of the Arts Lawn project. The newly seated outdoor space will be used for public programming, include film screenings, live theater, outdoor music, public performances, exhibitions, and public art performances. Arts and Public Life will look for opportunities to build on existing youth education and intergenerational programming on the Arts Lawn, and you'll hear more about this from my colleague Jacqueline shortly. With support from Project for Public Spaces, Arts and Public Life conducted workshops with local community members in 2014 to develop a vision for programs in the open space, and many of those ideas have been incorporated into our plans. Next slide, please. Before we begin discussing construction details, it's important to note that the university is in the process of purchasing the vacant lot that will turn into Arts Lawn from the City of Chicago. The university's purchase of the land cannot be completed until the site meets certain environmental standards. The city of Chicago still owns the property and will be managing the construction work taking place over the next several months. Over the next 2 months, the city of Chicago will be overseeing the remediation of environmentally sensitive soils on the property. During the course of soil exploration, organic compounds associated with the dry cleaner and automobile repair shops that previously occupied the site were found. Illinois EPA has reviewed and approved the plans for the remediation, which involve stripping the soils from their location, mounding them on the eastern side of the site, and capping the mound with an engineered barrier. This is a common practice that meets an Illinois EPA environmental standards. 3,000 yards of new soil will be added to the site during the process. All of the environmental work will be overseen by the city and university environmental engineers, and at the conclusion of the work, Illinois EPA will conduct a final review and confirm the site has been fully remediated. This is a critical step for any further improvement of the property and an overall benefit to the Washington Park community. But there's more. The project also involves the removal of existing underground storage tanks and the installation of new stormwater management system to allow stormwater to dissipate into the surrounding soil rather than entering into the city's stormwater system. So at the conclusion of the project, the full site, including the small 6-foot hill, will be covered with clean topsoil and grass seed, and erosion control blankets will be placed to help avoid soil erosion caused by storm and stormwater over the winter. Next slide, please. So who's doing the work? The City of Chicago's general contractor is Old Veterans Construction. They are MBE certified and based in Roseland. And last week, they installed a fence around the work area for safety of the pedestrians. Earth moving and soil remediation are underway as of today. And weather permitting, we expected active construction to last 4 to 6 weeks. The fencing will remain in place until the Illinois EPA has signed off on the completion of the soil remediation and the grass seed has taken hold. We are expecting this to happen in late spring. The work is going to take place between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., but may extend until 8 p.m. depending on weather conditions and project schedule. Work will, at a minimum, be Monday through Friday, and Saturday work will be allowed as needed. There will be parking restrictions along 55th Place during the duration of the active construction period to allow for construction vehicles to enter and exit into the project site. And parking will be restricted on the north side of 55th Place between the CTA tracks and the north-south alley of Martin Luther King Drive between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. So if there are any questions or concerns about construction, please feel free to reach out to me or the City of Chicago Assets, and their information is listed in the slide. I would like to now introduce my colleague, Jacqueline Stewart, to share more about the project.
Thank you, Wendy, and thank you, Alderman Dow, for inviting us to speak tonight to Third Ward residents. We really appreciate it. So following the completion of phase 1 of the Arts Lawn project, Arts and Public Life will begin programming in this open space next summer and fall, of course, if circumstances related to the current pandemic allow. And this rendering shows phase 2 of the project. Plans for the second phase include additional landscaping, as you can see, an open air pavilion structure, along with pedestrian amenities and accessible pathways for residents. The placement of the paths in the pavilion and the tree clusters that you see in this rendering may change as the site design is finalized, but this gives you a general sense of where we're headed. Next slide, please. So as Wendy shared, the Arts Lawn represents the latest phase of the University of Chicago Arts Block, which is pictured here. This is a redevelopment of the historic Garfield Boulevard in the Washington Park neighborhood, activated as a cultural corridor. This began with the opening of the Arts Incubator in 2013. And I'll talk through the other sites on the block and the strong relationships that we've been working to build with Washington Park residents, Southside artists, and youth. Next slide, please. So the first building that opened is the Arts Incubator, right at the corner of Garfield Boulevard and Prairie Avenue. It includes a gallery space at the street level, which you can see here, in which we have hosted more than 50 exhibitions. More than 7,000 people have visited the space, more than 40% of whom are from the Washington Park community. The Arts Incubator also has artist studios and a wood shop where we have a youth design build program that's a collaboration with After School Matters. On the right, you see the Green Line Performing Arts Center, which opened in the fall of 2018. It includes an 80-seat theater, a multi-purpose studio space, full green room and dressing rooms, and it's host to many programs, including our very successful First Monday Jazz program and theater residencies. I also want to mention that the Green Line Performing Arts Center has a state-of-the-art tech booth, which is where we host our backstage production program, which is a program that introduces the fundamentals of theater production and stage management, so job skills in the arts. Next slide, please. Most recently, I'm incredibly proud to give an update on this site, the historic train station, which was closed in 2000, but has been restored to host the L1 Creative Business Accelerator. This is a site that was built out on the inside, as you can see, with beautiful fixtures by local African-American master designer Norman Teague. And we're hosting, mostly virtually right now due to the pandemic, the L1 Creative Business Accelerator Fellowship. This is a fellowship that was awarded to 3 Southside creative entrepreneurs that provides mentorship, training, and resources to try to eliminate the barriers faced by Black entrepreneurs. The first 3 fellows who were selected are being mentored by Eric Williams, who runs the Silver Room, and also getting advice from a range of educators and entrepreneurs from across the city. And the 3 individuals that we selected to kick off this program, Peter Guana of Reform School, who's a 3rd Ward resident, uses eco-friendly materials to make unique fashion items that highlight history, social justice, and pop culture. Tiffany Joy, owner of Hemp Heels Body Shop, who provides luxurious bath and body products for pain relief. And Andrea Polk, who's the owner of Solo Noir, an all-natural skincare and grooming brand for men of color. Can you go to the next slide, please? I'm describing these entrepreneurs in detail because one of the reasons why the Arts Lawn project is so important to us is because it will provide more space for marketplaces and for connecting Southside creative entrepreneurs with local residents. And we know now that creating opportunities for local entrepreneurs is more important than ever. This will expand our opportunity to support local owners of creative businesses, building on our annual holiday season event, Vens and Vibes. So I just wanted to give a shout out to this event, which is entering its 7th year this year. Typically, Vens and Vibes is a 2-day marketplace that happens in all of our sites across the Arts Block, featuring unique handmade products made primarily by Southside artists and creative entrepreneurs. We don't charge booth fees. We've supported over 100 individual vendors in the Vens and Vibes program over the years. And we provide specialized branding and market support leading up to the program. Well, this year, obviously, we have to move Vens and Vibes into virtual space. And I hope that folks who are watching will check out our website, vensandvibes.com, which is providing a portal to the 30 vendors who will be participating this year. We'll have virtual music programming, home movies, programs for intergenerational audiences, as we always do. But one advantage of moving this online is that we can start it earlier and end it much later. So it's running for more than a month. It starts this Saturday, Small Business Saturday, and runs through December 31st. In the future, we anticipate that on the Arts Lawn, we'll be able to not only host Vens and Vibes, but similar marketplace events throughout the year. So the Arts Lawn for us is a space that not only will provide us with additional opportunities for dance, music, theater, visual art, for screenings, for supporting local artists who are already under-supported and have been absolutely devastated during this pandemic, but also to provide a space to expand on our support for creative entrepreneurs. So thank you for listening, and Wendy and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Jackie and Wendy. I want to say that I'm sorry that we're going to be in virtual mode for Vens and Vibes. That was one of the most exciting events last year. I was able to get a bunch of Christmas presents.
Thank you.
Looking forward to looking at it virtually. We have a couple of questions in the Q&A box from Sandra Bivens. Wendy, is all veterans subcontracting with local businesses, i.e. trucking, masonry, etc., in Washington Park, Woodlawn, and Grand Boulevard?
Okay, it's Sarah Rubin from the City of Chicago Department of Assets on the call. She might be in a better position to answer that question. As I said earlier, the land is currently owned by the city, and so they are handling all of that. So I see Sarah.
Okay, so the city is handling the cleanup.
But Sarah's on, so if you could take her off.
Sarah was just promoted to a panelist, so.
Yeah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hello. I must confess that I just took this project over from one of my colleagues. And so I will have to look into exactly who their subcontractors are. I don't know off the top of my head, and I can certainly get back to you, Alderman Dowell.
All right, so Sandra, I'll get back to you on that. The second question is, how is Arts and Public Life collaborating with local artists and cultural groups in Washington Park, Grand Boulevard, and Woodlawn?
I can take that one. Yeah, thanks for the question. We regularly collaborate with local artists and cultural groups. The Washington Park Camera Club is a really important partner. We work with My Block, My Hood, My City on projects that combine their work with the work of the youth in our programs. Just about everything that we do is in collaboration with cultural organizations, and we provide artist residencies. Most of our programs are collaborations with artists and artist-led, so it's the ethos of Arts and Public Life to immerse ourselves in these communities.
All right, and the last question is, might the Arts Lawn provide possible summer jobs for our youth?
What I can say there is that our youth programs are all stipend paying programs. And we have a lot of exciting opportunities for young people to be a part of the Arts Lawn project, including working with us on the design of eventually what will be some of the elements like the furnishings and other design elements of the lawn, and the students would be paid for that work.
Cool. All right. Here's a question. Is there a fee for the vendors? A few colleagues of mine mentioned that some of these spaces have high fees, making it difficult for local artists, makers to participate.
Yeah, the Vent and Vibes project does not charge the vendors.
Right.
Okay. Jackie, could you talk a little bit about what's going on with, well, I know we're in the pandemic, so
Yeah.
I know that you're challenged at the art incubator space, but
Yeah.
maybe you could talk a little bit about some things that you have done there.
Oh yeah, I'd be happy to. The turn to virtual programming, we're very fortunate to have people on our team who were really adept at and excited about creating virtual programming. So we've been following local public health guidance and university policies about having our spaces closed. We had to do that. But we have been developing a really exciting suite of online programming. The First Monday Jazz, for example, moved online and audiences followed us there. We have an ongoing series called Spinning Home Movies, where we show selections from the Southside Home Movie Project, and we collaborate with and pay local DJs and musicians and spoken word artists to provide soundtracks. All of these things can be found on YouTube. So they're not just live, but people can watch them after they've screened as well. So we are grateful to all of the folks who've been supporting Arts and Public Life for following us into the virtual realm, because we know that this has been a challenging time for all of us, but we've been committed to continue to work with artists and to materially support artists to share their work during this time.
Here's a question from Cecilia Butler. Where will people park their cars?
Yeah, the project doesn't have any plan right now for creating additional parking. So people would park where they're parking now.
And I would say, since it's also close to the Green Line, hopefully people will utilize that as a mode of transportation.
Yeah.
Are you collaborating with Diet High School?
We don't currently have a collaboration with Diet High School, but that's a wonderful suggestion.
Okay, and then two more questions. One is, how do we get connected to your communications?
Yes, well, of course, you can check out our Arts and Public Life website. And then I believe that the announcement that went out to community about the project included a place where folks can sign up to get regular updates from us about the development of the project.
All right, and then there's lastly, there's another comment that says, how do we get older experienced artists like Maggie Brown, Cenabella, Nanette Frank, and others connected to this work that you're doing? They have not been aware of this project or the collaboration.
Well, I think, yeah, I believe that through our First Monday Jazz program over the years, several of these artists have actually been involved. We take very seriously the importance of recognizing the work of experienced artists in our community. So we certainly are not just entirely youth focused. But if there's particular outreach that we should do to them, then absolutely, we will do that.
Okay. So I don't see any more questions here, Wendy and Jackie. Thank you so much for your presentation this evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alderman Dow. Thanks, everyone.
We will keep everyone abreast of what you're doing. Wendy, just reach out and if you have any updates. And we'll get back to Sandra on the question about subcontracting.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving right along, our last item on the agenda is an update on the unruly motorcycles that have been running through the 3rd Ward, the 4th Ward, the 42nd Ward, the 43rd Ward, and the 2nd Ward. And with us tonight, we have Commander Jake Alderden from the 1st District.
Good afternoon, Alderman. Thank you for having me. I'm Commander Jake Alderden. I'm joined by Captain Seamus Mannion, who's also from the 1st District. And the Alderman requested that we provide an update on the motorcycle-based abatement task force, which was organized earlier this year under the direction of Commander Longren as a result of recklessly driven motorcycles, which, as the Alderman stated, are not solely a first district issue by any means. They're basically an issue for every community that surrounds the downtown area. So this issue's been going on for a number of years. It's primarily a group of anywhere from 10 to hundreds of motorcycles that drive through the downtown area, oftentimes doing wheelies and various stunts, and many times driving on sidewalks, through parks, and completely disregarding traffic signals and every other traffic law. Many of or I should say, the vast majority of the vehicles involved don't display any license plates or registration at all, making this a challenging response for the police department. So what Commander Longren did was coordinated with the districts that surround the area, the 1st, 18th, 12th, and even all the way up to the 16th district. A lot of these motorcycles were originating there. Commander Longren comes from special functions, so he has the traffic section and some other units underneath him. And these units did a series of missions over the summer. They were basically in full swing, and then COVID came. Then obviously we had some other higher priority issues that took front and center stage this summer. But if you forward through to the second slide there from where we're at, there were a total of 55 combined missions that were that we did. In those missions, there was 1,368 citations written, and you can jump forward one more slide there. Amongst other enforcement activity, there was 32 impounds and tows. Most of those would be tows. The few impounds would be for things like the 2 illegally possessed firearms that were recovered. Both of those were recovered by first district personnel. These totals are actually for the entire citywide enforcement that were part of the abatement program. So you're seeing totals from the traffic section, the 1st district, 18th district, a little of the 12th district, and I believe the 16th district. Also, you could see some of the, if you forward through one more, there's a few recent missions that were done in the 1st district. There were 2 firearms in there, a stolen motorcycle, along with other enforcement activity. The key challenge that we face with these motorcycles is that it's not a result of, for lack of attempting to make traffic stops. These motorcycles, many of them dirt bikes, ATVs, or just sport bikes, do not have license plates, and they refuse to stop and actually instigate the interactions with the police. It's by no means that they're not being found or seen. In fact, on numerous occasions, myself and many other officers assigned to the downtown area have had these groups of motorcycles, pull up to their police cars and engage in all kinds of activity, attempting to initiate a pursuit. When the officers attempt to curb the vehicle, these motorcycles immediately flee and fail to stop. As a result of our pursuit policies, which were most recently updated on the 15th of August, the police, we are not able to pursue these vehicles. So most of the enforcement activity that we have is a result of us being able to engage these bikes when they're parked. At one instance, I remember when we were having some significant issues around Wacker and Wabash, we saw about 15 of them, pulled in, we boxed them all in, and not one of them had a license plate. We wrote every single one a citation. And at gas stations, we've got a bunch of other ones. When they pull in to get gas, we'll grab them. And some have actually been involved in crashes. We had one when we were doing one of these missions, T-bone a marked squad car, it made all the airbags in the vehicle go off. The motorcycle rider was not severely injured, but he did fly over the police car. So the challenge obviously is we're writing these citations. but we aren't really getting the desired result, which would be that these individuals, and by no means is the Chicago Police Department anti-motorcycle. We're just anti-recklessly driven motorcycles that are, causing chaos in the community and failing to obey traffic control devices, and also failing to comply with basic things such as registration. So that's really where we're at. There's been a lot of enforcement. Unfortunately, though, the odds, if they're constantly taking off and fleeing the police and only being apprehended then when they are caught standing in traffic or at a gas station, the punishment of a citation doesn't really seem to fit the crime, in my opinion. As a result, I do think that it's my suggestion that maybe, I don't know if Alderman Dow would be agreeable to working with City Council to talk to the Department of Law, and perhaps we could maybe, after what we've seen this summer and the summer before that, personally, it's hard to gauge. I don't think things got any better this year, in my own opinion. I don't know if that had something to do with COVID and people having a lot of idle time on their hands. But if we were able to work with City Council and the Department of Law to make driving a motorcycle or ATV without registration a impoundable offense, I do believe that would be the deterrent that we are looking for, and would certainly go a lot further than us giving these individuals their basic citation and them going on their way and coming back down, the following weekend or the following day.
If that's all it's going to take, Commander, we can do an ordinance on that as soon as possible. And I'm sure that Alderman King, Smith, Riley, Hopkins, Cicho Lopez, and myself would definitely co-sponsor that and see easy passage through the council.
Oh, that'd be great, because we're obviously operating within our set of general orders, and it should be a bigger success when we actually subsequently are able to grab 7 motorcycles without license plate, and then we're not able to impound the vehicles and the owners aren't really paying any fines. We're not achieving the desired result. And we had it, I believe it was this past weekend, they were actually riding around Buckingham Fountain, all through the park. They were up on the sidewalks, and that kind of behavior just really can't go on.
Well, I have a question. If you can't chase them because of the no chase policy, what good would this new ordinance do? From your perspective?
It would. So we can't chase them, but I'll give you an example. On the 7th of November, we had the car caravans down there. That's the day they declared the election. We did have a bunch of motorcycles come down just because it was a nice day, and they were riding back and forth and revving their engines for an extended period of time. They then set up at about 300 South Michigan. I walked down with a couple officers. They saw us coming, took off. I was able to get in front of one of their motorcycles, take the key out of the ignition, and grab that bike. That individual just got a citation. I actually did arrest him because he didn't produce the license. But had we had this impoundment in place, he would be paying a very substantial fine. His bike would have been taken, if we were able to do impoundments on all of these motorcycles that aren't displaying registration, I really believe that would be the tool that we need. It would certainly, they might still come through, but if they happen to get in the accident, or if they happen to stop to get gas or stop to, congregate, and these guys do want to do that. They don't want to just ride through. They want to, do wheelies and drive in the sidewalks, and then kind of oftentimes stop and maybe get a drink or do things of that nature. When we have the opportunity to grab them, and we grab them and are able to impound the motorcycle, it would, I think, change their thought process. And believe me, everyone that we've written a citation to I explained to them that the reason they're getting the citation is because they do not have a license plate at all. If they had one and were operating their vehicle, in a normal manner, they would never obviously even come on our radar.
All right, here's a question for you. Are there any plans to tackle the noise violations when it comes to 1, motorcycles with modified mufflers, and 2, motorcycles with extremely loud sound systems?
So we can do both. Most of these motorcycles have aftermarket mufflers, and they don't have the appropriate designation on there. That's a citation as well. Same thing as the amplified sound. Now, both of those, at least the amplified sound one, used to be a vehicle impoundment. So it used to be a much more serious. You stood the chance that you were going to have your car impounded, or motorcycle in this case. That has since been reversed, along with a few other vehicle impoundment issues. But that's a citation, just like driving your motorcycle right now without any license plates is a citation.
Okay, so a comment. So the ordinance would give police permission to just grab a motorcyclist? That seems like a double-edged sword.
The ordinance, if you're riding your motorcycle without a license plate on it, if you're riding your car without a license plate on it, you are stopped. You should be stopped just like you would be if you were on a motorcycle. Many of these motorcycles actually have the license. They put them underneath their seats. And, I believe maybe when they enter other jurisdictions, they've told me, or when they, get by their house, then they reaffix the license plate to the rear of their vehicle, or many of them bend them up and then bend them back down when they get where they're going.
Okay, there's a couple of questions regarding the no chase policy. What can be done to change the no chase policy? And can the no pursuit policy be amended for special situations? For example, if you are caught late night, 2 a.m. rides.
There's a balancing test anyway that would be even prior to this. So we're not pursuing for traffic. I obviously don't write policy. I follow policy. And we're not chasing these vehicles for traffic and traffic only. There wouldn't be exceptions built in. And even before, the most recent version of the pursuit policy there's always been a balancing test. So there's always been, is the need to apprehend the violator greater than the inherent risk that the pursuit causes to the community? And many times the inherent risk from a traffic pursuit is not worth, policy or not, pursuing that violator.
All right, and then the last question I have, Commander, is that what are you doing proactively to get ahead of this for next year in terms of planning? When these guys plan and organize their rides?
Well, we do sometimes have some intel when they're coming in. I think the question, proactively is, us hoping that we have a better tool, that be it vehicle impoundment. If that could get passed through, I think that would send the message that everyone at least needs to have a license plate. And if somebody has a license plate on their car, I certainly expect them to operate in a much less reckless manner. They wouldn't feel so confident driving through traffic lights and things of that nature. So my expectation would be that if that was the case, we'd see much better compliance. I would certainly hope on people actually affixing license plates to these vehicles. And as a result, because what we have right now is you have maybe 100 motorcycles, none of them have license plates. There's complete anonymity. Everyone has a helmet on. Everyone feels like they can, operate their motorcycle recklessly with impunity. And unless they happen to, get stopped in some, we jump out, they're in traffic, they're at a gas station, something to that effect, then they're correct.
All right. One thing I know the Superintendent Brown had committed to setting up a meeting with some of the organizers of these bicycle or motorcycle clubs to sit down with the aldermen affected so that they could get an understanding of the impact that it has on our constituents.
No, I think that's a great idea. That actually was, so this summer, they did a blitz and worked with social media and these motorcycle clubs. And they, if you flip down to the next page or two on the presentation here, they did highlight, to these groups, the kind of chaos that they were causing to the community. These were targeted to sport bike groups, and they were certainly hoping, and essentially they were saying that, obviously the police department being tasked with enforcement of these issues due to their reckless nature was drawing resources from violent crime, which is where it really needed to be this summer. So that was put out by community policing and through various media outlets. Certainly, more of it couldn't hurt, but they did do some of that this summer, trying to reach out and trying to gain some voluntary compliance, explaining how these resources were needed elsewhere, and as well as how they were impacting the community.
And to Sandra Bivens wants to know, how do you tell the difference between motorcyclists that participate in Toys for Tots versus those that are in negative situations? I can tell you the Toys for Tots is an annual sort of like parade, and they get a permit, which gives the city and the police department information about who's going to be in the parade, how many motorcyclists, where are they going, what route and time, and all of that stuff. So there is a difference. And I think the last question, Commander, for you is, are motorcyclists getting education on reckless driving? It could be more effective than issuing citations for prevention.
I don't know that I understand what that question means.
I guess like people who drive cars, they get an education on how to operate a car.
I'm sure that I don't possess a motorcycle license, but I'm confident that somewhere in the when you do, you are instructed that you can't stand on the handlebars or the seat, or do wheelies or anything of that nature. So that's what I would, I'm sure that that's prohibited, as well as following all the other rules of the road, which we've had a very difficult time these. I know there's a bunch of videos people have seen where you'll see hundreds of motorcycles just taking the red lights, because they're part of a large procession.
Okay, and the last question you can't answer because it's not your district, but it's about police cars racing down the Boulevard, Michigan and Indiana and King. And so for that question, James, can you put up the meeting notice for December 2nd? And Commander, thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'll follow up with you regarding the council thing.
The ordinance, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain.
Give me a second to pull it up all of it.
All right, so you're taking too long, James, so we're just gonna keep moving. Okay, so Alderman King and I are having a meeting on December 2nd. You're gonna have to move it up because you can't, there it is. On December 2nd, regarding public safety in the Douglas community, which includes, for that last resident who had a question, this would be where you could ask your questions regarding police cars on King Drive, Indiana and Michigan. So this will be December 2nd at 6 p.m. You can follow that information here. If you are on my website. You probably will get an email about this probably tomorrow, and hope that you will join us for that meeting. I want to thank everyone for coming to this town hall meeting tonight. Thank you to all the participants who were here with us and shared their information this evening. And I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, socially distanced, of course, and have a great Thanksgiving Day, Turkey Day. Good night.